that are still closed at this time. Stephen Yates is a former deputy assistant to the vice president for national security affairs. So, Stephen, back in January, the defense secretary sat down with 60 Minutes, and he said that Pakistan and the United States have the same goal, to go out and get the bad guys, to get the terrorists. Do we have the same goal as Pakistan and those that are running Pakistan's government?
Well, I think the secretary was saying what he needed to say, but I think common sense Americans can question whether we in Pakistan have the same objectives. So we just look simplistically at what's happened over recent years with the Osama bin Laden capture and kill and having been harbored in Pakistan for so long. And it's the bitter differences about their willingness to impede our ability to conduct operations in Afghanistan and to basically try to extract a toll. A price from us in order to have access to what should be stabilizing for their geostrategic interests. So I think a fundamental relook at U.S.-Pakistan relations is in order.
Because right now we call them an ally, right? I mean, that's how.
Right.
But in your opinion, are they?
They do not behave as an ally, in my view. And I think that we have to look very fundamentally at what are our interests. The administration and a lot of Americans have focused somewhat myopically on getting out of Afghanistan. And as worthy as that objective is, Pakistan poses a lot of dangers. And the president owes us a real strategy for shaping events in Pakistan.
So
and to date, we really haven't had one.
Let me ask you a little bit about how you get to that strategy. Let's talk about the drones just for a moment here. Again, the reports today, this is the second consecutive day of drone strikes. You know as well as I do, Stephen, that it can be tough to confirm these drone strikes, whether or not they're successful, they hit their targets. So do the drones, do they do more harm than good? Do the ends justify the means? Should this be part of our strategic policy when it comes to Pakistan, that the drones are here to stay?
I think they're important, but they're tactical. They don't address the ideology that fuels our enemy. They don't gather intelligence on the enemy, and they don't answer broader questions about what we're trying to achieve in Pakistan or with any other geography, say like Yemen, where we're also deploying them. The administration has made very clear this is a key part of their arsenal in the fight against al-Qaeda. It's less clear what they will do to address the broader issues, say like the level of aid that Congress has been very uneasy with in Pakistan continuing to receive, and strategically what is achievable in dealing with this country with a fragile economy, even more fragile polity, and strategic interests that I think at times are hostile to ours.
You know, it's interesting just to bring in this other news that we have all the time and attention and energy placed on Iran and those 5+1 talks that are happening now with Iran and their nuclear program. Pakistan, as we know, we don't know how many nuclear weapons they have, but they are a nuclear country, and we're not having these big high-level talks with Pakistan, Stephen. So what exactly should our policy be? How do we work towards a more comprehensive policy when it comes to Pakistan, and perhaps a more updated one, as you're implying?
Well, I think you begin with rethinking about what our expectations should be in a country like Pakistan. I mean, there's something fundamentally wrong in Pakistan. If you look at the neighboring geography in India, Gujarat, it has a chief minister who's been in office for more than a decade, has a successful economy, has a lot of international investment. These are neighboring geographies. Why is one much more successful and stable, and Pakistan is fraught with so many perilous problems? So we need to have some comparative perspective of what we should expect or even demand in terms of deliverables from Pakistan. But I think we also need to go back to what was talked about in the Republican primary, a zero basis for aid, and then justify where do we go from there. It doesn't mean it stays at zero, but there needs to be real accountability and real results tied to the aid that we provide.
We'll see what happens with this moving ahead. It's a constant discussion piece. It keeps coming up every couple weeks, and we'll continue to watch to see if we see any real change on the horizon when it comes to our relation with Pakistan. Stephen, nice to have you as always. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jenna.
Well, a shocking news